Under the blazing red sunlight of the ancient Roman sunset, life in the insula, the cramped apartment buildings rising in the heart of the city, was not for the faint-hearted. You open your eyes in a tiny room no bigger than a matchbox, where the old, cracked walls and the shaky ceiling seem ready to collapse at any moment. There are no windows. Daylight only faintly seeps through the gap of the main door. This is the top floor of the insula, and the higher the floor, the poorer the residence, the unwritten rule in Rome. You pull the damp blanket over yourself but cannot shake off the itchy feeling from the swarm of lice under you. Relentless pests that cling despite many nights of struggling to sleep. The crude bed is no different from a filthy trash heap hastily assembled, but it is all you have. Outside the thin walls lies a chaotic, filthy world where screams, quarrels, and foul odors mingle into a horrifying symphony of life. There is no kitchen in your room, nor a place to cook. Each meal is a survival battle with dusty street food sold right at the foot of the building. Sometimes you have to hastily eat a hard, dry bread, sometimes some wilted vegetables of unknown origin, and many times you are so hungry you just endure the emptiness. The most terrible thing is not hunger, but hygiene. Without a private toilet, you must use a basin placed in the corner of the room and then carry it outside to pour into filthy open gutters on the ground. These gutters are communal drains of the whole neighborhood, holding all kinds of filth, from human waste, dirty water, to trash and dead animal carcasses. Every time you open the small window upstairs, the stench carried by the wind suffocates you. It is the smell of death, poverty, and lurking demise. At night, the insula resembles a beehive surrounded by darkness and mysterious sounds. The hurried footsteps echo down narrow corridors mixed with quarrels, crying children, and sighs from people living on the brink of despair. Once you heard someone scream in panic, then an eerie silence followed. Rumors spread about sudden deaths, about those killed or abandoned in the dark, but no one dares to ask further, for the truth could be even more horrifying than imagined. One day, while carrying the basin to empty it, you overhear a mysterious story from a street vendor, a gaunt old man with eyes sparkling with madness. He tells that in the basement of the insula, there is an ancient wooden door leading to a secret labyrinth, where the lowest floors are forgotten, imprisoned by darkness and unexplained sounds. It is said that those who accidentally fall there disappear without a trace, and some hear whispers of restless souls. Your curiosity surges uncontrollably. Knowing that exploring that area means death, you decide one night to sneak into the basement to uncover the truth. The flickering oil lamp, footsteps echoing in the cold darkness, everything feels like a vivid nightmare. Suddenly, a chilling sigh rises from a deep, dark corner, and you feel someone watching you. But when you turn back, only silent darkness responds. Back in your room, your heart pounds as if about to burst out. Life in the insula is not only harsh, filthy, and poor. It is also the threat of the inexplicable, of darkness swallowing unfortunate souls. You wonder, how many people have disappeared into that dungeon? And can you survive the coming days in this hell? Life in the insula is a lesson in resilience and survival, but also a grim reminder that even in the heart of a great empire like Rome, the darkest corners exist, where humans are but small creatures, easily swallowed by darkness and the cruelty of life. And you, the one living on the top floor of this building, are part of this untold story full of blood, stench, and mystery. After months of struggling in the damp little room of the insula, you step outside to face the next challenge: the public latrine, one of the harshest corners of ancient Roman life. There are no doors, only a long row of stone benches with holes where people sit side by side, eyes easily meeting during their most private moments. No privacy, no discretion, just naked exposure in front of the crowd. The only cleaning tool is a sponge attached to a small stick shared by everyone. This sponge is soaked in vinegar or salt water, seemingly a way to disinfect, but in reality it is nothing more than a hotbed of potential bacteria. The lack of hygiene and disease risks here are unavoidable, but no one has any other choice. For this is the common facility of the impoverished neighborhood. When you step out of the latrine, you clearly sense the lingering stench mixed with dust and the noisy sounds of the nearby market. Then breakfast is another challenge. You hold in your hand an old baguette, its crust hard, smelling faintly of yeast. a very simple and meager meal to start the day. Alongside a diluted wine is considered a common drink. Sometimes, if lucky, you might find some cheese or a few olives to enhance the flavor. But foods like eggs, meat, or pastries are luxuries that never appear in your breakfast. You nibble on each piece of the dry, hard bread, distinctly tasting the saltiness of the wine. Life for the lower class in Rome is a series of such days, constantly struggling with poverty and deprivation in every aspect. Each morning, waking up is a battle to sustain life, despite the stench, darkness, and lurking dangers all around. For you, that simple breakfast is not just food, but a small spiritual medicine, a reminder that no matter how harsh life is, each new day must still begin. Yet inside, you cannot quell your curiosity about the deep mysteries, the shadows, and the echoes from the basement of the insula, where many have been buried forever, their fates unknown to anyone. After the dry breakfast and the lingering stench from the public latrines, your new day starts with tireless labor. Under the scorching Roman sun, you and thousands of other poor people work hard on construction sites, in workshops, or as hired hands for wealthy families. With crude tools in hand, without any protective gear, you endure bleeding wounds, burns, and bruises day after day. Resting is almost a luxury because not working means hunger and being pushed into the spiral of extreme poverty. Leaving the labor area, you step onto the city's main streets where chaos peaks. The streets are crowded with people, animals, and horse-drawn carts running wildly without any adherence to speed limits or right-of-way. The sound of wheels hitting stones, neighing horses mingles with the shouts of street vendors and fiery quarrels among strangers on the street. Even more terrible is the appalling pollution of the roads. Human feces, garbage, urine, and dead animal carcasses are scattered everywhere, creating a layer of unpleasant odor that spreads in the air. Every step on the cobblestones risks stepping on filth or becoming the target of pickpockets and lurking criminals. This chaos not only threatens your health, but forces you to stay alert every second. You recall the hard days in the insula, the poor lives beside the crumbling walls where darkness and death lurk. Crowded, polluted, dangerous streets are an inseparable part of everyday life, like a web of demons surrounding small people like you, endlessly pulling you into a whirlpool of inescapable survival. Still, you try to keep walking, carrying heavy, fragile hopes that one day life will be less harsh. But with a reality full of wounds, stench, and chaotic noise, each step on that perilous path is an inevitable trial of fate. The water flowing from the majestic aqueducts from the mountains to the city center might seem like a consolation for the poor residents of the insula, but reality is much crueler. Public fountains where hundreds gather water for daily use are actually bacterial nests hidden beneath the murky, dirty water. You must scoop each dipper of water with your hands, knowing it may contain all kinds of disease-causing germs, but there is no other choice if you want to survive the day. After hours of exhausting labor, the public baths become the place where people come to temporarily wash away dirt, but it is not a place to restore the body or refresh the soul. The baths are overcrowded with people crowded into hot and cold pools with no soap and water reused many times, causing skin diseases and infections to spread quickly like wildfire. Laughter and washing sounds blend with hacking coughs, sending chills down your spine every time you think of the lurking dangers. When illness strikes, hope for healing is almost non-existent. Roman doctors, without modern medical tools or knowledge about bacteria, often use bloodletting, leeches, or cutting without anesthesia or sterilization. You have witnessed neighbors injured while working suffer deep cuts, flowing blood, and wordless pain, treated only by rough hands of practitioners relying on experience and crude remedies. The mortality and infection rates were so high that people regarded pain and illness as an inevitable part of life, a test of human resilience and virtue. When the body weakened, many chose to endure in silence, believing it was the only way to prove they would not break under adversity. You wonder, amidst the streets filled with garbage, foul smells, and the chaotic screams of the city, if anyone could truly be called healthy. Every time you leave the bathhouse, your body exhausted, your mind returns to images of the deceased, the last breaths echoing in the dark cells of the insula, a reminder of how fragile life was in this magnificent city. Life in Rome was not just a struggle against poverty, filth, and violence, but an endless battle with disease and death lurking every day. After long days battling poverty, hard labor, and sickness in the suffocating dust of the Roman city, the simple dinner remained a daily torment. You could only rely on thick lentil porridge, sometimes a few pieces of boiled vegetables was without any seasoning. Red meat was a rare luxury, often not fresh and sometimes slightly spoiled. Hunger frequently at your stomach, but there was no choice but to swallow each small bite in silence. Wine, the most common drink, was diluted to the point it barely had flavor or color to prevent you from getting drunk too early. Throughout the day, wine was like the only companion in the persistent hunger and cold of the cramped room. It gave a false sense of warmth, but also dulled the alertness needed to face the unpredictable life outside. But outside, the city's cruelty never ceased. The Roman arena, a symbol of the empire's power and brutality, was a place where blood was spilled not only for glory, but for entertainment. You heard stories of bloody battles where gladiators fought to kill or be killed amid the wild cheers of the crowd. Moreover, wild beasts were released to tear apart innocent prisoners, creating horrifying and haunting scenes. There were even naval battles reenacted on water inside the arena, with real people, real blood, and real deaths unfolding before thousands of spectators. The life around you became a continuous display of violence, a strong psychological oppression that people seemed to endure and accept as an inseparable part of life. Screams, mocking laughter, and applause mingled into the heavy air, making it impossible for you to shake off feelings of insecurity and fear. Whether hungry, in pain, or afraid, you had to hold yourself steady in a world where life and death were only a breath apart. The simple dinners could not heal the physical and mental wounds from the bloody life outside, where each passing day was an uncompromising battle with fate and the brutality of ancient Roman society. The days living in poverty, violence, and illness were only part of the larger picture of ancient Roman life, where the harsh legal system always lurked to control and maintain the power of the elite class. You witnessed many public punishments in the city square, where people gathered to watch tortures and crucifixions unfold like horrific performances and warnings to anyone daring to defy authority. The law was not for the poor or slaves like you. Rights barely existed, and your life was governed by constant fear. Every scream of the punished echoed in your mind, reminding you that a single misstep could lead to a painful death. Justice was never meant for you. It was merely a tool for the rich to preserve power and impose dominance over the masses. Alongside legal oppression, religion acted as an invisible shackle binding everyone in the neighborhood. Public rituals were mandatory, from worshiping countless gods with intricate details to the numerous festivals held continuously throughout the city. The emperor was venerated as an untouchable deity, and anyone who refused to follow the rituals or showed doubt could be suspected, arrested, or punished. You were once forced to participate in a grand festival at the city square, where the crowd cheered for ostentatious displays of power and emperor worship. Although you did not believe in those gods inside, compulsory reverence had become an unavoidable part of life. Opposing or showing resistance brought danger to yourself and your family. Freedom in life seemed like a distant dream as you were restrained by brutal laws and religious pressures filled with suspicion. Every step in the city was a struggle, not only with hunger and illness, but also with invisible fear, forcing you to remain cautious to survive in the unjust and harsh world of ancient Rome. Your daily life is not only bound by poverty, violence, and harsh laws, but also by a rigidly stratified social system. The upper class, with powerful senators, live in magnificent villas atop hills, completely detached from the dark world where you struggle. The middle class, merchants, and artisans, though somewhat better off economically, are also caught in a complex web of calculated relationships and power struggles. At the very bottom of society are people like you, slaves and poor laborers, voiceless, regarded as commodities serving the interests of others. Social relations in the city are an endless battle. Every word, every action can be misunderstood or exploited to destroy rivals. You understand that to survive, you must face not only hunger, cold, disease, and violence, but also be cautious in communication to avoid unnecessary troubles. Under the suspicious eyes of the powerful, every person is a pawn in the chess game of calculation and power, where trust rarely exists. When night falls, the city is far from peaceful and becomes more dangerous than ever. Without streetlights to illuminate, darkness covers every corner, becoming a veil for rampant crime. Thieves and robbers lurk in the shadows, stalking people who travel alone or in small groups. Screams, clashes, and strange sounds echo everywhere, making it impossible for you to sleep peacefully. The risk of house fires is a constant worry. Insula houses made of wood and flammable materials combined with oil lamps and leaking candles create the danger of sudden fires. Fierce flames not only burn homes but also threaten residents' lives, causing panic as people scramble for escape amid chaos and smoke. The city's air is thick with dust, foul odors from garbage, human waste, and dead animals. The noise of horse-drawn carriages, shouting voices, and endless quarrels make you feel surrounded by an unending storm of chaos. In this suffocating world, every step you take hides new dangers, and survival is the result of constant vigilance in the harsh survival struggle of ancient Rome. Life in Rome, for commoners, is truly a harsh struggle against disease, hunger, filth, violence, and oppression, yet an empire of grandeur still exists and thrives. The story of Rhodogon, warrior princess of Pathine, born into the Pathine royal family, Rhodogon was unlike any other princess in history. From childhood, she was taught not only how to apply makeup or dress beautifully, but was also trained in military arts, politics, and leadership, skills usually reserved for men. Her father, a stern but just king, always believed that a strong leader must know how to protect themselves and guide their people through difficult times. Therefore, Rhodogon was sent to training halls where she learned sword fighting, archery, and war tactics. Unlike the cramped, filthy insula districts of Rome, Rhodogon's world was fortified castles, blazing battlefields, and solemn council meetings. However, she never forgot stories about common people, about those like you, people struggling daily with poverty, disease, and violence. The stark difference between royalty and commoners both angered her and drove her desire for change. Rhodogon was not only a symbol of power, but also a beacon of hope for the oppressed. In her public appearances, she openly spoke about the nobility's responsibility to protect and improve the lives of all social classes. She often organized military training sessions for women in the region, inspiring them to become warriors and future leaders. At a time when the Roman Empire was full of turmoil, Rhodogon stood amid complex power struggles, using political knowledge to negotiate and coordinate various factions. She understood that strength lay not only in the sword, but also in persuasion and smart strategy. Many times, she escaped assassination plots and political traps thanks to her sharpness and resilience. The story of Rhodogon, the Pathine warrior princess, is not just a legend of strength and power, but also proof of the will to overcome all social barriers to fight for justice and change in the harsh, unjust world of ancient Rome. When the rebellion broke out fiercely, instead of entrusting experienced generals, Rhodogon decided to personally lead the army. She carried an iron determination, vowing not to wash her hair until victory, seeing it as a symbol of persistence and true leadership strength. The image of a warrior princess with matted hair, not a drop of water touched it, became a vivid symbol of the unyielding spirit of the Pathine people. Faced with a complex and dangerous situation, Rhodogon did not charge into battle with direct attacks. Instead, she employed tactics of siege and cutting off the rebels' supply lines. Thanks to her sharpness and extensive knowledge of military strategy, she directed her troops to occupy key points along the supply routes while preventing all external resources from reaching the enemy. The siege dragged on, gradually exhausting the rebels, breaking their morale before the persistence and tight organization of the army under Rhodogon's command. Small skirmishes were spread across various areas, making it impossible for the enemy to concentrate forces or mount effective counterattacks. Each passing day, the enemy's spirit and strength waned, while her army steadily consolidated its position and confidence in victory. Rhodogon's steadfast leadership and sharp tactics earned the respect not only of the rebels, but also of her allies. She was not just a symbol of royal power, but also proof of the true capability of a leader standing amid the fierce upheavals of ancient Roman society. The story of the warrior princess was told not only through military lessons, but also became a source of inspiration about persistence, intelligence, and courage overcoming all challenges. After many months of persistent command and battle, victory finally came to Radagon and her army. When the rebels were ultimately crushed, Radagon performed her first hair-washing ritual after swearing not to wash it, turning this seemingly small act into a profound symbol of victory and absolute loyalty to the Pathian nation. The cleansing of her hair was not only personal liberation, but also a declaration of her willpower and perseverance in the struggle to protect her homeland. Although she could have chosen the path of seeking personal glory, Radagon resolutely refused to follow it. Instead, she devoted time to caring for the soldiers who had stood alongside her, ensuring they rested, recovered, and had sufficient supplies. She also focused on consolidating the country, stabilizing society, and continuing to fight for the rights of the lowest classes she deeply understood. Her humility and dedication made her not only a tough leader, but also a vivid symbol of female power and enduring perseverance in a world full of injustice. The people of the region continuously praised Radagon as a legend who overcame all social barriers to become a guide toward a better future. Her story inspired future generations, not only about military strength, but also about steadfastness, compassion, and leadership that transcends all difficulties. For Radagon, victory was not an endpoint, but the beginning of a new journey, the journey of building and protecting the homeland in fairness and peace. The story of Tomius, warrior queen of the Masege tribe, Central Asian steppes. As an outstanding female leader and warrior, Tomius not only led her tribe, but also defeated Cyrus the Great of the Achaemenid Empire, one of history's greatest conquerors. Tomius, the warrior queen of the Masege tribe in the Central Asian steppes, emerged as a powerful symbol in a turbulent era. Unlike many other female leaders who only ruled within their tribe, Tomius expanded her influence through extraordinary strength and intelligence. Under her command, the Masege tribe not only survived, but flourished, becoming a formidable force amid the vast and wild steppes. Unlike the chaotic, bustling cities of Rome, Tomius's life was closely tied to nature and the harsh challenges of the steppes. She was an exceptional warrior, trained from a young age in tactics, horseback riding, and fighting under all conditions. Tomius's strength came not only from combat skills, but also from her subtle leadership and deep understanding of enemy psychology. The pinnacle of this warrior queen's career was the confrontation with Cyrus the Great conqueror of the Achaemenid Empire. In a fierce battle, Tomius led the Massagetei army to defeat Cyrus, a victory recognized not only for military strength, but also for intelligence and brilliant tactics. This was one of the rare occasions in history when a female leader at the head of a small tribe could stand up to and defeat one of the most powerful empires of that era. Tomius's victory not only protected her tribe's territory, but also served as a declaration of female power and resilience beyond all limits. She became a symbol for women who relentlessly fought to assert their position and power in a society rife with gender discrimination and oppression. The story of Tomius, the Massagetei warrior queen, is not only a legend of military strength and brilliant leadership, but also a vivid testament to the ability to change fate through willpower, courage, and intelligence, despite the harsh challenges of the time. Rejecting the marriage alliance proposal with Cyrus the Great, Tomius demonstrated the determination and self-autonomy of a strong female warrior amid heavy political pressures. Although she knew that a marriage alliance would help the Massagetei tribe avoid war with the powerful Achaemenid Empire, Tomius refused to trade her freedom and honor for temporary peace. Instead, she focused all her strength and dedication on preparing the army for the unavoidable confrontation. Under Tomius's leadership, the Massagetei warriors were rigorously trained, from individual combat skills to collective tactics. She understood clearly that only thorough preparation, flexible strategy, and a fighting spirit could help the tribe stand firm against one of history's greatest conquerors. During the tense months before the battle, Tomius was not only the commander, but also the spiritual symbol of the tribe. She encouraged, inspired, and strengthened the soldiers' faith, making them ready to fight not only for territory, but also for their own freedom and honor. Every training session under the harsh steppe sky bore the mark of perseverance and bravery. When Cyrus the Great advanced his troops, Tomius was ready to face the challenge. She commanded the battle with skill and decisiveness, utilizing every advantage of terrain, climate, and the tribe's fighting spirit. The battle was not only a clash of strength, but also a contest of intelligence and willpower. The refusal of the marriage alliance was not arrogance or blindness, but the decision of a leader who understood the value of freedom and loyalty to her tribe. The story of Tomius, the Massagetê warrior queen, stands as a vivid proof of the power of will and resilience, overcoming the harshest trials of the era to protect her autonomy and honor. Facing the overwhelming power of Cyrus the Great's army, Tomius did not choose direct confrontation, but used guerrilla tactics, a form of warfare suitable for the vast and harsh steppe terrain. She leveraged the agility of the Massagetê cavalry and her deep knowledge of every hill, valley, and small stream to organize surprise attacks, mislead, and gradually weaken the enemy. The Massagetê forces moved flexibly, leaving no traces, striking and quickly retreating before the enemy could react. Ambushes targeting supply caravans and enemy strongholds caused Cyrus's mighty forces to become divided, confused, and increasingly weakened. The tribe's fighting spirit was reinforced by wise tactics and seamless coordination among the warriors. Tomius was not only the commander, but also directly led bold raids, using courage and intelligence to maintain the army's morale. She understood that the war was not only a firefight, but also a battle of wits, where every small decision could determine the fate of the entire tribe. Tomius's guerrilla tactics caused the enemy to suffer heavy continuous losses. Despite superior numbers and equipment, they could not adapt to the tribe's flexible fighting style and intimate knowledge of the terrain. Constant small-scale battles wore down the strength and will of Cyrus's army, paving the way for Tomius's final victory. The story of Tomius's wisdom and bravery, the Massagetê warrior queen, is not only a lesson in the art of war, but also a testament to the power of will and creativity in the harshest conditions. She used her spirit and unique tactics to protect her tribe and secured her place in history as one of the greatest female leaders of the era. During the arduous months of battle, Tomius not only faced enemies on the battlefield, but also endured the deepest pain of losing her only son in a fierce ambush. This loss did not break her spirit. On the contrary, it ignited a burning flame of vengeance in the heart of the warrior queen. Her pain became the motivation to lead the Massagetê army to fight with fiercer determination than ever before. The loss was not only a personal tragedy, but also a symbol of the suffering of the entire tribe, who had endured many sacrifices in the fight to protect freedom and territory. Tomius became the embodiment of resilience, not only to survive, but also to make the enemy pay dearly. In the final decisive battle, when the clash between the two sides reached its peak, Tomius directly confronted Emperor Cyrus. Her wisdom and courage helped her overcome the mightiest opponent. With a decisive strike, she beheaded Cyrus, an act that not only marked a military victory, but also symbolized absolute power and bloody revenge. The image of Cyrus's head displayed before the Massagetê soldiers and people became a sacred symbol of bravery and perseverance. It was not only Tomius's personal victory, but also a triumph for freedom, honor, and the survival of the tribe. The pain of losing her son did not cause Tomius to collapse, but transformed her into an indomitable symbol, a steadfast leader with unshakable strength and willpower. Her story has been passed down not only as a war legend, but also as a lesson in loyalty, female strength, and the relentless spirit of struggle in the harsh realities of the era. Through many trials and hardships, Tomius was not just an ordinary female warrior, but became a vivid symbol of strength, perseverance, and the power of women in a world where power was nearly reserved for men. From the early days leading the Massagetê tribe to victory over Emperor Cyrus, to wise decisions and unwavering courage, she asserted her position not only on the battlefield, but also in the hearts of the people. In a society where men held leadership roles and almost absolute power, Tomius was a rare proof of the ability to overcome prejudice and stereotypes to change the fate of a nation. Her strength was not only in her sharp sword or brilliant tactics, but also in her indomitable spirit and persistent endurance under the harshest circumstances. She became an inspiration to generations of women and men alike, reminding that true strength does not discriminate by gender, but comes from willpower and determination. Thomius's mark in legend and history did not stop at glorious achievements, but also symbolized female power in a challenging world. Her story has been told through many generations, becoming the legend of a woman who could lead armies, defeat mighty enemies, and protect her nation's freedom. The lessons from Thomius's life are not only military tactics or victories, but also a testament to inner strength, loyalty, and the will to overcome all adversity. She proved that even in harsh and unjust societies like ancient Rome and neighboring lands, women could become the forefront banner, leading and inspiring the nation to rise up and fight for rights and survival. Thomius, the warrior queen of the Mazege tribe, remains forever a symbolic figure of strength, perseverance, and female power, leaving an indelible mark in history and legend. Beekeeping in ancient civilizations. While life in the violent and harsh cities of ancient Rome went on relentlessly, in a distant land, ancient Egypt developed a special profession closely tied to nature and spirituality: beekeeping. This profession was not merely an economic activity, but was organized scientifically and delicately, becoming an inseparable part of the spiritual life of the Egyptians. According to legend, bees were born from the tears of the sun god Ra, a symbol of life, light, and power. Therefore, bees and honey were not only natural products, but also carried sacred meanings, revered as precious gifts from the gods. The Egyptians believed that honey had healing and protective powers, so it was widely used in traditional medicine, from applying it to wounds to treating various diseases. Not only in medicine, honey also plays an important role in religious rituals and funerals. When a person dies, honey is often used in embalming rites to preserve the body and create immortality in the afterlife. The image of bees flying around graves or temples symbolizes protection and rebirth, linked to the belief in eternal life. Beekeeping in Egypt was organized very scientifically. Beekeepers understood bee behavior, knew how to care for and harvest honey without harming the bees. Beehives were placed in areas suitable to the climate and natural conditions, creating a balanced and sustainable ecosystem. This reflects the profound understanding and respect for nature of the ancient Egyptians, sharply different from the chaotic, filthy, and harsh life in Roman cities. Beekeeping not only provided valuable food and medicine, but was also an important part of culture and belief, contributing to the harmony between humans and nature in ancient Egyptian society. The story of bees and honey is evidence of the wisdom and creativity of an ancient civilization, still retaining value and meaning today. In Mesopotamia, where ancient civilizations formed between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, bees and honey were not only valuable assets, but were also strictly protected by law. Unlike the chaotic and brutal scenes of ancient Roman cities, where life was full of injustice and suffering, here, the small bees were respected as a sacred part of society. Mesopotamian law clearly regulated ownership and responsibility for beehives. If a beehive accidentally invaded someone else's land, the owner had to compensate for damages according to regulations. This shows that honey was not only an economic product, but also a symbol of ownership and social order. This strict protection helped maintain peace in the community, avoiding small conflicts that could escalate into serious disputes. Bees and honey in Mesopotamia were also closely connected with beliefs in mythology. They were associated with important gods in human life, such as the god of agriculture, protector of crops, and the god of war, symbols of strength and protection. Thus, beekeeping was not only an occupation, but also an act of worship, connecting humans with supernatural forces. People in Mesopotamia believed that bees brought luck and protected families and crops from natural disasters and enemies. Honey was used not only in cuisine and medicine, but also appeared in important rituals and festivals, expressing the harmony between humans, nature, and gods. In a society where power struggles and conflicts were rampant like ancient Rome, the story of bees and honey in Mesopotamia stands as a different image, where order, law, and belief were closely linked to maintain balance. The regulations protecting beehives not only preserved property, but also reflected the spirit of respecting nature and life in a turbulent world. The story of bees and honey in Mesopotamia shows that, wherever they are, humans always try to build sustainable values to cope with difficulties, and in the simplest things like caring for beehives, there are profound lessons about law, religion, and culture. In contrast to the harsh and chaotic life of ancient Rome, where people often struggled with poverty, violence, and disease, in the ancient Anatolia land of the Hittites, bees and honey held a special sacred meaning. In Hittite culture, bees were not only insects producing sweet honey, but also regarded as sacred beings, deeply involved in purification and prayer rituals. The beekeepers here are not merely practitioners of a craft, but are closely connected to the temples, the spiritual and cultural centers of the community. They are regarded as guardians of purity and sanctity for the rituals, playing a crucial role in supplying honey for religious activities. Honey is used in offerings as a precious gift presented to the gods, symbolizing devotion and the hope for protection. Moreover, honey was used by the Hittites in traditional medicine with healing properties for wounds and illnesses. The value of honey was also reflected in diplomatic exchanges, where it became a luxurious gift traded between kingdoms and tribes to strengthen peace relations and alliances. The sacredness and diverse roles of bees and honey in Hittite society created a distinctive cultural feature, contrasting with the chaos and harshness many in ancient Rome endured. While life in Rome was dominated by violence, poverty, and harsh laws, the Hittites maintained a balance between material and spiritual life through sacred values linked closely to nature. Stories about bees, honey, and the beekeepers associated with temples not only demonstrate a deep understanding of nature, but also show how an ancient civilization found harmony in life. It is a lesson about the power of faith and the connection between humans and their environment, between earthly life and the spiritual world, within the context of a diverse and complex ancient world. While the dark corners of ancient Roman life held constant pain, injustice, and violence, in ancient Greece, beekeeping art was developed to a new height, both scientific and refined. The Greeks invented movable clay beehives, allowing them to easily transport and protect their bees from environmental dangers while optimizing honey harvesting. A notable aspect of Greek beekeeping techniques was the use of smoke to calm the bees before harvesting honey. Smoke not only reduced bee attacks, but also kept the hive calm, enabling beekeepers to collect honey multiple times during the season without damaging the hive. This technique not only increased productivity, but also reflected a profound understanding of bee behavior, a significant advance compared to contemporary civilizations. Aristotle, the renowned Greek philosopher and scientist, conducted extensive studies on bees, exploring their biological and social aspects. His works contributed not only to ancient science, but also laid the foundation for bee and honey research for centuries to come. In Greek culture, honey was considered the food of the gods, carrying sacred meaning and healing power. The Greeks used honey not only in cuisine, but also as medicine, treating everything from external wounds to internal diseases. They believed honey not only eased hunger, but also healed body and soul, becoming a symbol of life and health. Compared to the suffocating, dark, and violent life in ancient Rome, the story of bees and honey in ancient Greece shines like a flickering light, representing harmony between humans and nature, between science and faith. It is a testament to human wisdom and creativity across time. Despite different social and historical contexts, the bee remains a symbol of vitality, diligence, and resilient adaptability. Through advanced beekeeping techniques and Aristotle's profound studies, ancient Greek civilization not only produced precious honey, but also inspired a harmonious blend of knowledge and nature, a valuable lesson for both the ancient and modern worlds. In the chaotic, unjust, and power-struggling society of ancient Rome, a seemingly simple field thrived and became an essential part of life: beekeeping. The Romans not only inherited and developed knowledge from previous civilizations, but also expanded and perfected beekeeping science in their own way, suitable for the vast scale of their empire. Beehives on Roman farms varied in materials, from simple wooden frames to hives made of fired clay or intricately woven baskets. This diversity helped adapt to different climates within the empire and optimize the efficiency of beekeeping and honey harvesting. The Romans employed methods using herbal smoke to calm the bees before honey extraction, minimizing harm to the bees and increasing multiple harvest yields during the season. Honey became a valuable food source, widely used not only in cuisine but also in medicine and cosmetics. The Romans used honey to heal wounds, soothe skin diseases, and beautify, practices favored especially by the upper classes. Furthermore, honey was used as a material in refined products and was an important trade commodity, transported through the empire's bustling trade routes, contributing to the wealth of the Roman economy. The development of beekeeping and honey trade reflected another side of ancient Rome, a society not only familiar with war and violence, but also capable of scientific organization, creativity, and systematic economic development. Honey was proof of the ability to wisely and diversely exploit nature, bringing practical benefits to life and culture. Although the lives of the poor in the Insula districts remained cramped and impoverished, beekeeping and the values around it helped create a rich economic and cultural foundation for the largest empire of antiquity. The story of bees and honey in Rome testifies to the multidimensional nature of an ancient society where nature, science, and culture intertwined to build a sustainable foundation amid the harsh challenges of history. Beekeeping in ancient civilizations combined science, religion, economy, and culture, carrying deep symbolic meanings of order, cooperation, and the connection between nature, humans, divinity. From the cramped, dusty streets of ancient Rome where life unfolded amid chaos, violence, and harshness, to neighboring civilizations such as Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, or Anatolia, each left special legacies both tangible and intangible, timeless marks that continue to deeply influence modern culture, science, and society. Great architectures, complex legal systems, philosophies of life, and ancient scientific and agricultural studies all contributed to the foundation for humanity's development. For example, beekeeping, organized methodically and systemically thousands of years ago, not only provided precious honey, but also helped people deeply understand ecology and the connection with nature. Techniques using herbal smoke to calm bees or mobile hives made of fired clay were breakthrough innovations continued and developed in modern science. Not limited to inventions and techniques, ancient civilizations also left profound intangible values, such as philosophical thoughts, legal systems, beliefs, and arts, all shaping the social and cultural structures we inherit today. Roman law, with principles of fairness and order, became the basis for many modern legal systems. Greek philosophy, with ideas about human rights, ethics, and politics, still inspires many contemporary thinkers. Religious and belief traditions, despite many upheavals and changes, retain core elements that help people find meaning in life and community connection. The rituals, arts, and customs of these civilizations are not only cultural heritage, but also bridges between past and present, helping us better understand our origins and identity. The sustainability of these legacies throughout the flow of history proves the strength and depth of the values formed since ancient times. In a modern world full of volatility and challenges, preserving and promoting both tangible and intangible heritage is not only a responsibility, but also a source of strength that helps humanity develop more sustainably and humanely. The harsh life in ancient Rome and the surrounding ancient civilizations is not just a story of difficulties and challenges, but also a valuable source of inspiration and lessons about wisdom, creativity, and perseverance in overcoming adversity. These legacies, passed down through generations, continue to live vibrantly and exert a profound influence on modern life today.